Hi folks, you're with Tacitus today, your pushback channel. Thank you for joining this live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about how quickly the Western workplaces are changing. So this is only happening in Western countries, by the way. I don't see any businesses in Africa or Asia that are desperately trying to get rid of their Asian workers and replace them with white workers. So it's only happening in the white countries. So the globalists are forcing this upon us. It's not through choice. Local people don't want it. It's being forced on us. And so some years ago, I was at I was doing business with these guys. So I was at the organisation, and it was all white and mostly male. And there were some pretty sharp guys working there, and I thought the place was quite impressive. That's all changed. So I was in there recently, and I'd say 75 to 80% of the workforce there is brown or black, and what was mostly male is now again 75 to 80% female. At least half the males that work there would be gay, or so effeminate that they surely be gay. So that's the radical sort of change there. Now this particular company must have wanted this, because some years ago they went out and hired a radical feminist who worked for an NGO. She had no business experience at all. In fact, she'd never worked at a real job in her life. But for some reason, this large organisation, who could have picked, there were tens of thousands of people would have pulled out their back teeth to come and work at this place as CEO. But instead, they employ someone who's must be the least qualified imaginable to put into the role, and clearly they'd hired her to engage in major social engineering. In fact, she was there to fire all the straight white males and to bring in as many black and brown people and gay lesbians and so on as she could. And being a radical feminist activist, she went to the task and went about it with great zeal and gusto, and so within a couple of years had completely changed. Now, why the company, the board of directors, it's all white males, by the way, why they would want this is a bit beyond me, but obviously they're wanting to create a virtue buffer between them and the real world, so they could go on stuffing their pockets full of money, these straight white guys, but have this pretense of a virtuous, socially virtuous, woke business. So as soon as you walk in the front door, there's the black. There are like three or four receptionists. There's the black receptionist, the brown receptionist, the very, very gay white boy. That's when you walk in the door. So their credentials are right on the top. Now, there's a small unit in the company that is required to perform and produce results, and they do have to deliver, these people, and they're all straight white males. But so they filled all these other jobs and created all these other jobs and just stuffed them full of people. Now, it doesn't mean to say that all the white people were geniuses or doing a fantastic job before. That doesn't mean every single one of them was experienced and fantastic at their job. They weren't. But whatever they've got now is much less than what they had before. So they've got a much lower quality workforce now that either can't speak English or doesn't know what the fuck. One of them was a hostess from the Philippines. She's still got tattoos and so on, and yet she's been brought in and put into a senior role, and as have other Asians, Asian women. They've got a thing about Asian women now at this place, and put into roles that they're manifestly not qualified for, and it's embarrassing, but they've been put in there. So that's one there, and it's quite a shock to go in there, and you have to sort of tiptoe around a little bit because they're ever ready, hair trigger ready to accuse you of racism or something like that because I'm a straight white male. But so just going through the sort of staff amenities area, the human resource directors there. She's a white woman, I think straight from the looks of it, but because of the power HR has now, she swaggers around like she's fucking God, and even though she's in her 30s, she behaves like some snot-nosed little punk schoolgirl. I mean, it's outrageous, and throwing her weight around and imagining like she's in some silly little gender studies debating team, but that's the sort of structure there now. There's another organisation that some years ago they had about 1,000 employees, I suppose. If even two were non-white, I think that would be it. But looking at it now, again, it's the same thing. Other than the executive suite, which is still, other than they might stick a token black lesbian in there, but it's still pretty much straight white males. The same thing goes. 75, 80% now is non-white. Now, where did all the white people go? Do they just vaporize into the atmosphere? Or what happens here? There's the better paid jobs there. The whites have still got most of those, but the other stuff, they're still well enough paid, paying above the average wage. These are all, and Indians and so on, that the day they get off the boat, they walk into these jobs. So clearly the jobs are being allocated to, you have to be black or brown, or you have to be a lesbian. So the gender race quota thing's just running amok here. But again, I'd like to know where all the white people are going, because if you look at the proportion of new jobs the economy's created over the last 20 years, and then the proportion of jobs that white people no longer have, then there's a lot of white people that are seriously underemployed. Maybe they're the ones that are running around cleaning houses now. So this is, but when you look at it, that's happened at astonishing speed. But when you go to an organisation where performance is still the issue, they got to perform, they got to deliver, then again you see a heavy overrepresentation of straight white males, because they're the only ones, when the chips are down, you really want people that can perform, commit, do the job, have got the expertise and the tenacity and the focus to it. Then you come straight back to straight white males. Sure, there are outliers, and you'll always find someone from another racial group there, but effectively that's the only place you go, straight white males. So all these companies that are still straight white males end to end, because of that requirement for performance. Now, on the other side of performance requires, say, I want people who kind of just work good enough to do the job, but I want them to be cheap. Then in those situations, you'll see black and brown people in competitive type businesses, but only because they're cheap, not because they're delivering a high quality outcome. So that's the situation, but it's very concerning, where white people are being displaced at a rate of knots, particularly at the multinational company end, but in other medium-sized businesses too. Also, there are governments are leaning on companies. If we're going to give you a government contract, we want to know that you've got black lesbians on the board of directors. And in fact, just recently, a company that scored a large government contract, they got it under the express requirement that they had to hire a certain quota of black people and lesbians onto their staff, and they did it. So, yep, sure, okay. If you're going to throw lots of taxpayer money at us, we're happy to do that. We're happy to create some bullshit title, executive director of window washing or something, and we're happy to do that if that'll make you happy, and we can take gazillions of dollars in taxpayers' money. We'll give you all the black lesbians you want. So that's going on as well, but it's pretty scary, and it's not leading to a good place. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.